Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Crystal Richardson. So extremely happy to be with you again today here on LIG TV, Life Innovation Global TV. We are on the pre-shows for The World Speaks, and today we're going to talk about legacy and lessons from the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We'll be right back. Hey, everyone. Extremely happy to be with you again today. As stated earlier, my name is Dr. Crystal Richardson here on LIG TV, the home of short, powerful content. We're still doing a series of pre-shows as we gear up and have some updates that we'll be doing here in our studio at the Uplift Center here in Arizona. So what I want to do until we get some of those in place is just to still have where we come on and do some pre-shows. We have a number of people that are going to be doing some shows here with us, and that's going to be a very, very extremely interesting and fun and educational, inspirational, empowering time that we will have with our guests and some of the people that will be doing hosts of some mini series shows. So what I want to do today is go over a few things related to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Today is MLK Day, and you can listen to these particular topics and potentially get some inspiration related to his legacy on any day of the week, any month, any year. So it doesn't matter that today is actually the day that we celebrate him, but these are things that we can take into our lives and have where we live our life based on some of the principles that he has done so well to share with us. And so one of the things that stands out is the main model that I utilize in a lot of the different things that I do, which is, the urgent question, and I think he uses the word urgent question of today is not, paraphrasing this particular part, is not what we can get for ourselves and build for ourselves and all of that, but what is it that we can do for others? And so that's the main part that I want to focus on today is others. And that was one of his main precepts. I love to say precepts as opposed to quotes. But one of the main things that he lived his life by. Now, with any leader, with any person, it is where there's things that come up in our life, and there's for all of us, where people can find something that they consider negative, or find something that they can bring us down, related to different mistakes or different things that have happened in our life. And so Martin Luther King, same way. There's different things that have come up, whether it's rumor or real, that have happened. But the main thing that we can say about his life is that he did focus on others. That was one of the main things that he talked about and did in was equality and justice for others, and not just for Black people, ways for us to get along better and have where we utilize the gifts and talents of everyone. And so as we go into the show for today, I want us to think about that particular quote. What is it that we can do for others? And so let's take that back to business and take it back to our life. So when we think about what is it that we can potentially do for others, one of the things I want us to think about is in business and in life is giving people the benefit of the doubt. And then also having where we give them a hand up, as opposed to just having where we have prejudgment about them. And some of it may be substantiated, but also there's a ways that we can actually go forward to do our part to see if we can give them a second chance, third chance, and have where we help give a hand up. And with that being said, it's not where we are enabling people, from a psychological perspective. It's where we are giving people the benefit of the doubt, seeing what we can do for them, and seeing what we can shift and change around. Now, I can say, based on experience, that I have taken this approach, and I have also had where I've helped various people. I don't want to give too much away, so people are like, oh yeah, if you listen to this, then the circumstance or situation. But I've taken this approach and talked to someone, I'll just say someone, talk to someone about some excuse me, some issues and problems they were having with another individual, and had where I was able to outline a few things for them to try as far as communication with them, to see if those particular methods would work to bring them up to the level that was expected by this other person. And then for the person that was in question, I also had a conversation with them to say some things that they could do to bring themselves up. And no matter, if they continue to operate with this person or not, anything and everything that they did in life moving forward, that this would be a good way to handle those types of communications and those kinds of interactions with people that were considered leadership. And for them to take that road also related to their own life and stepping up to be the leader that I know that they can be, because I've seen and heard it, in various things that they've stated and written and whatnot. But they were just not operating at that level on a consistent basis. And so with the two-way communication there, and being the mediator, the liaison, the coach, like the mentor, whatever you want to call it, both sides, we were able to turn that situation around. And then another person was able to turn that situation around. And then, there's, and the situations keep coming, because this is just human nature. But these are things that can be turned around if we take the time to think about life's most urgent question, according to Dr. Martin Luther King, which is, what can we do for others? Well, part of what we can do for others and with others and for ourselves and for the world is to up-level our communication, up-level our understanding, up-level our compassion, up-level our patience in these situations, so that when things come up with people, we don't just jump to a conclusion and just move on. And just think about if somebody had done that with us, with various things that have come up in our lives. And especially, with me, there's been some things that have gone on in our family that have really set me back, completing a number of deliverables. It also set me back mentally, being able to concentrate through all of that. And so I said, rather than have where everything was piled on top of me, and there was like no time to even take a breath or have where my mind could wrap itself around some other concepts. I just took a step back and said I needed some time to breathe, some time to handle this particular situation, and then I would get back with everyone. And so as that time moved on, I was able to have where, I slowly started to be able to wrap my mind back around, complex things and work on getting some things done. And so if some people hadn't given me the benefit of the doubt in that particular situation, we would be at a different place in time in business today. And I found that to be the case, even with the situations where I said that I was the mediator, the mentor, the coach, the advisor, whatever you want to call it, liaison, on both sides of several situations where I was able to help have where someone thought about the other person, gave them the benefit of the doubt, and it worked out. Now, I can also say that it has happened the other way, where I've done all of that and it still did not work out with the person. And so they ended up, having to make whatever decisions they had to make. And so it doesn't always work, but at least it's something that we should give a chance. And so that is one of his main quotes related to the urgency. Life's most urgent question is, what can we do for others? And so as we think about that, and if we're taking notes, that'd be great, have where we think about others and have that be, a part of our day. I talk about, how to start your day and different things that we outline that we want to do in any given day. And so how about we add that to our day as well, is thinking about others. What is it that we can do for others? Now, part of this also is having where we have boundaries and we put some kind of boundary on that if we need to, whether it's we only spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, an hour, of our day related to others that are outside of our family potentially, or even inside our family. But in our business, where we block that time, it's called time blocking, where we don't let those people and those kinds of things like eat up a lot of our time, because then we get sucked in and then it becomes a sinkhole of just only dealing with that one particular thing or that one particular person and some of the things they have going on, and not getting done the things that we've outlined for the day. So that is one of the things that I want us to think about, so that we can have that be something that maybe it's not every day, but to me, I feel like we should show kindness to people every day, that should be on our list of doing something that maybe somebody, I won't say that they don't deserve it, but doing something just out of the blue for someone who's unexpected, or even someone who, because of the things that they've done or some things that you're going through with them, that maybe you feel that they don't deserve it, but to be kind anyway. So this one is be kind, be grateful. It's always another good thing that we have gratitude on our schedule for every day. And then what is it that we can do for others? So, having that maybe on our weekly schedule. And so another thing that we can look at is his I have a dream speech. So I'm going to play something right here, which is a commercial related to our global awards. And a lot of these people that we plan to honor at the end of this year maybe had a dream. And part of it is that they've seen their dream come true. And they're out there doing their thing. They're helping others. They're making an impact in the world. Everything I do is related to impact, related to innovation. And so if this is you, one of the things that he talked about is he had a dream, and there's some specific parts of his dream, but I just want to take it as a higher level related to dreaming, period, and talk about that when we get back. Take a look at what we have coming up for our global awards for this year. Hey, everyone. Great to be with you today. And I really hope that you participate in our global awards for this year and for the years to come. It's going to be a really fun time, exciting time, and I can't wait to be able to honor you, have our team honor you in that way. Okay, so we're talking about some lessons and precepts related to Martin Luther King Jr. as we celebrate him on today and his life and the lessons that he's taught us related to legacy. So the first thing that we mentioned was what is it that we do for others as point number one. The urgent question is, what have we done for others? So that is point one. And then the next point was related to dreams. And so it is important for us to dream and to do something about our dream. So he, had his mountaintop speech of unity related to what his dream was focused on, and unity and justice and a way for us to rise, as a people and all God's people. And so with that dream, I want to ask you, what are some of your dreams? What are some of your aspirations? What are some things that you desire? What are some things that, it's this year is the year. It doesn't matter if it's January, March, June, September, or even November, that, this is something that I have to get done. I have to get this done during this year, or I have to get this done today or during this month, in order for me to feel, the feeling of being fulfilled and having impact. And a lot of what's going on right now is that there's so many people are so scattered. And I want people to go from scattered to success. I want them to go from scattered to having massive impact. I want them to go from being scattered to being ultra focused and fit, which is focused, intentional, and tenacious. And so how we do that is that there's going to be some things that we're going to need to block out so that we can have where we have that level of focus and concise clarity and stick to that. There's going to be a lot of shiny syndrome type things. There's going to be a lot of things that can look like they set us back. Some people may say, since that Martin Luther King speech, I had a dream speech in the 60s that maybe there hasn't really been much changed, because of how things have gone back and forth, and we've made some strides, and then we didn't, and then we made some other strides, and then it seems like we didn't. And so we have to just do our part to keep moving forward and to be that positive force. And the next one has to do with our voice, is using our voice for change. That was another thing that he did, excuse me, as our point number three, is he used his voice for change. And we can couple that number three with number four. It was from a nonviolent perspective. Now, there were some people that were with him, they were like, we need to do this and we need to do that. He's like, no. We can march. No, we can have conversations. So 3 and 4 are actually tied together, using our voice for change and then doing it in a nonviolent manner. Now, because you can have violence with your tongue, you can use your voice for change, but have where you're cursing people out and you have vile words. You have, you use every single word in the dictionary, and maybe some words that are not even there, with how we approach people and the things that we do and say. And so it is important for us to have where we speak eloquently, precisely, factual, I say factual, and use our voice for change in a good way, because there's change that can be using our voice for change in a negative way, right? And a lot of us do that. And I catch people, and sometimes I admonish people. It's like, okay, what you said was great. It was really great. It was really, really good. However, let's change this word and that word so that it's on the positive as opposed to the negative. You're using not, and you're using, well, I don't know, or I'm going to try. No, let's say that we're going to do it and then put the plan forward to do it. And let's not use the word not. Let's change it around so the sentence is more positive. Well, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to do blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, okay, well, you may not be sure because you maybe don't have a plan, you don't have a team. You don't have, certain resources, but you can say that. You can say, my goal is to do X, Y, Z. And based on this goal, I'm going to do my best to put together a team where we can move forward with this and create blah, 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 blah within the next 6 months and do this nationally, have where it is specific. It's a SMART goal. So we can use our voice for change in our own life, as well as using it for change for other people. And if they see us always taking the high road, if they see us always using words that are more powerful in that perspective, then just, what a better world that this would be. It sounds like, colloquial, but what a better world that this would be, because of the fact that we are all moving forward with positivity and with a smile on our face, and doing our best to always have where we are thinking about others. We're moving forward in kindness. We're moving forward with gratitude, and we're moving forward with positivity and thinking about others and bringing others along with us if they want to be brought along. Okay. So all of this has to do with how we create community, and do it based on number 4, which was doing it, in a non-violent manner. So one of our next points has to do with the two things that we've talked about. And I am going to go to, as I usually do, let's see if I can point to it properly. I pointed to it right today. The 51 powerful piece of public speaking is that using our voice for positivity and using our voice for change is something that we can do, and we can do it better and more powerful, in a more powerful manner, if we use some of the tips that are in my book right here, the 51 powerful piece of public speaking. So this year I am going to be doing more to get that book out to schools, universities, and to businesses. And so if you want to have, or your business or your school is considered a 51P official site, then I would love, love, love to give you that ribbon to show that you are involved in that particular program. And so the 5th thing that I want to talk about the legacy, lessons and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, we just honor him on today, is his persistence in the face of adversity. Persistence in the face of adversity. Now, it wasn't that his time on this earth, once he stepped up to do what he did, it wasn't that his time was met with everyone like agreeing with him, right? There were even some people of color that didn't agree with him. There were, people that were of color that were after him, as well as, other people as well, that did not want the transition to occur that he stood for. So I would say that would be adversity. So having a persistent mind, a persistent attitude, and having where you persist and you move forward like a no matter what type of mentality, and have people behind you. It was his wife, and he had his team, different people that were behind him, that it's important for us to have that type of rigor, that type of attitude, and that type of forward moving force, that I am going to do this. Now, it may be that you're met with financial decline. It may be that you're met even with a health decline. It may be that you're met with a decline in the people that are on your team. It may be that you're met with all of these things that are maybe not going in the direction that you would have it to go. However, if this is something that you truly believe in, and you truly believe that if you do persist, that it is going to have a positive impact, then I say that you go for it. And, have where you pray about it, and see if, if God is saying the same. It doesn't mean that the road is going to be easy, but if he's given you the green light, that this is what you are supposed to be doing, and this is part of your impact in the world, and this is how you're going to create legacy, and this is how you're going to have where hundreds, thousands, millions of people are going to be positively impacted by this if you persist. And it may not be in your lifetime, but this is not about us, because based on what we do for others, then they can move forward and take our legacy forward. They can take our ideas forward. So If you really believe that, and if you believe with all your heart that it has been blessed by God, then I say go ahead and do it and persist in the face of adversity. There's not going to be that things always go our way. There's been a number of people. There's a minister friend of mine that just talked about a funeral that she did for someone that was 30, 35. Same thing for me, funeral for someone who's 35. One died in a car accident, one was murdered. And that going forward, as a family, we can either sulk and continue to be where we're down, of which, we do need our time to mourn. But then what are we going to do about it? Based on the car accident, is there something that could have been changed? Are there rules? Are there laws? Is there something that, that's how some things related to having seat belts be mandatory and some other things, someone took a stand and said, we need to do X, Y, Z. Mothers Against, drunk drivers, and other people, as well, like, having where there's rules and guidelines, and do you have a designated driver? And then there's different businesses that have sprouted up to help people if they feel that they have to drink, but not drink and drive. And so, and for the young man that was murdered, what is it that we are going to do to seek justice for that, or to have where there's something that's changed for, the family that was left behind, or for some of the different things that are happening in that community? What is it that we can do to bring about positive change? So that is using our voice and persist in the face of adversity. It's using our voice for change. It's taking a nonviolent approach. And the first one is, what is it that we can do for others? And then having a dream that the world can be different, that the world can be different for someone else. It didn't necessarily help, for us not to lose these two young men, but it can potentially help someone else. So, and even my other friend that was murdered by her husband, there was a foundation that came out of that related to helping to protect women that are in domestic violence situations. And so there's always something that can be done that can be positive, as we think about them every single day, as we go forward in our life and attempt to still have a life with that hole that is there. How can we make life better potentially for someone else? And, that is something that brings us to our next point related to Martin Luther King, is leading with love. Martin Luther King Jr. Leading with love. Now, how is it that we can lead with love in this world today? I'm not going to talk about, some of those tragedies that I was talking about just now, but how is it that we can lead with love? There's so many people, road rage and in businesses where sometimes there's businesses or communities where there's cliques that form, and there's all different kinds of maybe harassment or other things that happen. How is it that we can be the one that leads with love in our relationships? How is it that we can lead with love in our business dealings? When people want to talk about, their differences or similarities related to politics, how is it that we can lead with love? That is one of our other points. Point number 6 is leading with love. And I think that, there's a place for love in business because there's so many different things that go on that maybe we can talk about. I think I said the words earlier about taking the high road, is that there's so many people that feel unloved. And so if there's anything that we can do, like in one of my groups I had, where it just seems to be that there's a whole bunch of people right now that have birthdays. There's probably, like in the other months, people that have birthdays too. So now I'm going to have to see what I can do to celebrate other people's birthday, but just to do something nice for people and to share pictures that, I have of them, and we're like, hey, we love you and we want to celebrate you. Hey, everybody, let's celebrate together. Let's celebrate their birthday. And so just how that makes them feel, how they feel loved. And so that's something, it doesn't take a lot. Sometimes for some people it does, like, you didn't even give me any flowers or candy, or you didn't buy me a new car, or you didn't do this, didn't do that, didn't take me to dinner. Like, what about what I did do? I cleaned the house, I did worked on your business plan for you. I did, this and that, but you're saying the things that I didn't do. So however, we always think about love, and we always think about, again, kindness, and think about what people did do. We can think about that in our businesses before we, come at them. If we have to talk to them about whatever it is, before we list out all the things that they didn't do, let's make a list of the things that they did do and move forward with the positivity first. And so that's why the communication part and the book here is so important on how we can be powerful communicators. It's the 51 powerful P's of public speaking. But public speaking is, even if you have a one-on-one, public speaking is even if you are having where you need to present at work, or you need to present in front of a group or hundreds or thousands of people. All of these things can come into play to help us to have better communication. And so that particular one was leading with love. And so one of the next things is the importance, number 7, is the importance of unity. He really, really stressed unity amongst our people and amongst all people, so that we can come together and have where we come together around one common idea. And that one common idea was related to, how we can make this world, make this country a better place, and the world, by being united. Because there's so many smart people out there. There's so many people that have so many gifts and talents that if we did join together, wow, what a better country this would be, and what a better world this would be. So one of his main focuses was on unity. And that has already come up several times, related to some of the other topics that I brought up, is the topic of unity. And so when we talk about going back up to having a dream, one of the things that is always prevalent at the beginning of the year for people is vision, and having, a clear vision, a clear path, a clear way that we want that dream to move forward. So number 8, I would say, one of the lessons of legacy that we learned from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is to have a clear vision. And so a lot of times we talk about vision at the beginning of the year, and have where we talk about, what is our vision for the year? And people do vision boards, I do a vision collective, a vision intensive. And how is it that we can move forward with clarity of what our vision is? And we have so much clarity that it doesn't matter what comes. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. I guess a lot of these are, they are all connected, is that we can take into consideration what someone says or does and see if it passes the test, the clarity test of, is it something that fits into what I'm doing or not? And if it doesn't, we can kindly have where we decline. And one of the things that we do in some of the groups that I have is that we practice that. We practice how to do these communications. And so that's something that's very extremely important, is having where we not have where we accept everything that everyone is bringing at us or to us, and even if they say that it's for us and they think it aligns, we have to believe it ourselves. And again, if it's God's will, for us to have certain relationships and whatnot, if they really want to be our friend, or if they really are our friend, or whatever the role is that they're playing in our relationship, then they need to also respect our boundaries. They need to also respect, as we should respect, if we don't see things the same way, if we don't see eye to eye, and we can agree to disagree. That's another thing that people say. So let us just think about, how we navigate those types of conversations. Now, some people straight up use avoidance. That burns me up. If you have a disagreement, or if there's something that you feel a different way about, I would prefer that you come to me and say it, or say that we need to have a conversation about whatever it is, and we can talk it out, and then we can agree to disagree, or even agree that, what, maybe this isn't, just isn't the best relationship for us to have right now, and love you, peace, and I wish you the best life, and then it's like, okay, or maybe when things are different in my life, and I have a little bit more time to put toward XYZ, I would love for us to come back together and see how we can just create some massive positive change in the world. Yeah, me too. And so, yeah, let's just stay in touch. Okay, great. Let's stay in touch. See, like it doesn't always go as smooth as that, but I'm just saying that that is something that we can do. And so with Martin Luther King, he used his words. He used his voice for positive change. He used his voice to amplify the need for unity. He used his voice to persist in the face of adversity. He used his voice to state what his dream was and the actions that he felt that we all should be taking to make that dream a reality. He also used his voice to have where he was able to articulate it in a way that got us excited about seeing his dream as our dream. So there's a difference between groupthink in this regard and having where we wrap our minds around something that really is actually positive, as opposed to someone saying that something is positive when we just kind of like go along with everyone else and we're not quite sure if it is or not. And so there's a lot that goes on from a psychological perspective. I'm not going to get into that necessarily right now, but some people use NLP type techniques for good. Some people use them for themselves. And I would say that it's important for us to just have clarity of our vision and our dream and what it is that we can do for others, and putting boundaries around that, the best that we can. And then having where we just march toward that each and every day, moving closer and closer to seeing those dreams and those visions and that clarity of purpose come to pass. Now, one of the things I keep talking about is using our voice. And I want to play this commercial about my book, and then we can see some more of the precepts that we have today as we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. Hey, everyone. This is Dr. Crystal Richardson. So extremely happy to be with you today. And we are talking about the lessons related to the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so as we celebrate him today, and we can celebrate him on any day of the week or month or year, it is important for me to have where we do this show today to talk about his legacy. And so one of the things that we are looking at today are just, some things that he taught us. And so one of his other quotes or excuse me, ways that he lived his life was related to standing up for justice. And he mentioned, just injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so as we look at that and think about that, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, is that it's very important for us to just treat each other with kindness and have where we do our best to have where if we see something going on, what is it that we can do as our part? Now, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to get involved because then they may come after me. Well, they might, or if I get involved, then this might affect my pocketbook, like my business, if I say something. So I'm just not going to say anything. But sometimes, not saying anything is saying something because it's as if you agree if you don't say anything. And so it all comes back to our communication. And that's why I love the book and love teaching from the 51 Powerful P's of Public Speaking. And so I would really like for us to think about this from a justice perspective, that what if it was us? What if it was our mom or our dad? What if it was our child? What if it was someone, basically, I'm saying someone that we cared about, that whoever it is could have said something or could have spoken up to the injustice and helped, but they didn't. And so when we think about it in that manner, that it could have been us, or it could have been someone that we cared about, you might, depending on who it is, you're going to do your best. There's reality, and there, all different TV shows and movies where something happened and there's someone that wants to, was it Denzel Washington, The Equalizer, and there's other movies out there like that they're going to get justice. They're going to do something about whatever it is that they can do because of something that was an injustice that happened to someone. So let's just think about that. And as we go forward in kindness, as we go forward in gratitude, that we do our best. We do our best to be people that really care about other people, and if there is something that we can do to bring justice to the situation, to do that. And it's not like, we need to go renegade and have where we're fighting justice over here and over here and over here, unless we are an activist, and that's, what God has laid on our heart to be able to do, that we need to do. So just think about it and see, for that particular concept, how you feel about it. The next thing is dreaming big. Now, I talk about this a lot. I even had, a dream big. Big Dreams in Action is what it was called, Big Dreams in Action, where we did school assemblies and had where, we would go in and talk to the students about what they could do locally and globally, and think internationally, think about what businesses they can start, think out of the box, and understand that there is no box. We put ourselves in boxes. And so that is something that I really feel that he did. Is, there were a lot of people that followed him. There was a lot of people that, were in resistance, but he had a big dream. And we're still working on the dream today, I must say. What am I? 60, I'll be 61 this year. And it's been a long time, since his death, and we still are working on his dream. So what can we do? We can dream big as well and see how we can move the needle forward, even if it's just a little bit, based on our circle of influence. And our circle of influence sometimes is way larger than we even give ourselves credit for, because we don't necessarily know like who's watching or who's listening. And believe me, even if people don't hit like or subscribe and all of that, they're watching, they're listening. And I've had people even come up to me and even say that, like, yeah, I'm not really too much into the social media, and I don't really like commenting and all that, but I've been watching you. They'll see me someplace and they'll come up to me verbally and say, it's like, and you're really classy, you're really this, and I love how you how you love on other people. And, there's been a lot of other things that they've stated, and how you share your knowledge and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just using that as an example. I don't really want to talk about me, but that is to say that people are watching and people are listening. So just think about it and have where you continue to dream big and share that dream, with others, with rules and guidelines, because, I always talk about non-disclosure agreements and different things like that. You don't want to share something that someone will have the potential to want to take, and you don't have the right contracts in place. So just think about dreaming big and sharing that dream, and having where whatever it is, there's people that are watching and listening. And I want to commend you for being a person that uses their voice for change, uses their voice for impact, using their voice to be the change that we want to see in the world. And that's something else that we talk about a lot, just as like a common thing. So when I talked about, persisting in the face of adversity, another way that we can look at that, and I guess this would be number 11, is having courage. Having courage as we face fear. Now, there were a lot of things that were happening, in the different protests and the different marches and the different conversations, that he was attempting to have with various people. And back then, a lot was going on racially. So there was some fear that did creep in and that could creep in, especially, you're at home with your family, you're either having dinner or you're in bed, and then, something comes flying through the window, breaks the window, and there's, whether they're trying to set your house on fire, like all the different kind of things that happened back then, that still have where there's, different things that happen today. That was one of the types of fear acts that they did, back then, was to threaten his family. We're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. And so when you're fearful for your own life, when you're fearful for your family, when you're fearful for any reason, it might make you feel like stepping back and say, okay, I'm just going to stop all of this and I'm not going to move forward. And it probably is safer and better for all of us if I don't, right? And so he had to have courage in the face of fear. And so I want to ask you, what are you afraid of today? And is that fear something that is holding you back from moving into your best life possible, to moving into your best year possible financially, to moving into something that if you just really came out as the person that you really are, wow. The world is just waiting for you to come out as the person that you really, really are. So many times we go to seminars, we go to conferences, we go to this and that, and we listen to different people and we try to emulate them as a person, as opposed to taking the gifts and talents and traits that they have and seeing how we can implement those gifts and talents and traits into understanding more about our own gifts and talents and traits, and then making it be how it works best for us. When we do the aforementioned, which is, emulating them, then it's attempting to be another version of them as opposed to being the best version of yourself. So I want you to think about that and think about how you can have courage in the face of fear, understanding what some of your fears are, and having on your list for this year to conquer those, bit by bit, not just superficially, but actually conquer the fear. And we have, some different tools that we use to be able to do that. So as we get ready to wrap up today, I want to talk about one of the last things in number 12 that he really focused on, which is education, and what it is that we can do to empower ourselves with higher learning, by taking higher learning and utilizing it in a way that really not just empowers us, but empowers those around us. So the last and final point, which I guess would be point 12 in the lessons with the life of the legacy, the lessons related to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There, I was able to say it, is the part related to education and how we can use education to empower ourselves and empower others. And so this right here, listening to The World Speaks in some of these pre-shows that we have is a way for us to be able to empower ourselves, and writing down some of these points and seeing how all of this fits into what we've written down that we want to do for the year, and really, 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 really sticking with that. Okay. And so I really appreciate you being on with us today and having where you spent some time with us and the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't let just this particular day be the only day that we think about him and what it was that he taught us, but let every day be filled with something that we could use to move our agendas forward, our positive agendas for positive change and positive impact by utilizing the lessons from his life. So as we get ready to end for today, I'm just going to go ahead and run through the 12 that I stated. And so the first thing is my very, very favorite quote of all time is, life's most urgent question is, what is it that we can do and what is it that we are doing for others? So let's be others centric. The next one, number 2, is have a dream, have a big dream. And then see how we can communicate that dream and rally people around that for positive change. The next one is using our voice for change, of which we can do, and we can do that in a non-violent manner. We don't have to have violence and even use violent words or do violent acts. We can do it in a non-violent manner. And then having persistence in the face of adversity. Persist, move forward, move forward, move forward, even if it's just a little bit. If we do a little bit, after a while, we can see how far we actually went. And let love be the answer and unity be the answer. Have a vision, have where we write out our vision and not have things distract us based on the clarity that we've already come up with, that this is our vision for the day or for the year and for our life. The next one is justice. Injustice anywhere means that there's an effect on justice everywhere. So do what we can do to have where we advocate for people from time to time. The next one was dream big, and also not letting fear overtake us, and having where we use education to empower ourselves and to empower others. Bless you all. Thank you for celebrating with me today and having where you hopefully got something out of the lessons of the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you.